Hey guys, welcome back to another video. We are going to be cooking Sunday goes for dinner. In our bowl there, in a clean bowl, you're going to measure 4 cups of bread flour, 2 tablespoons of sugar, table setting spoons, and I start with 350 ml of lukewarm water, and I add about one a teaspoon of salt. You can add a little bit more if you're using Himalayan salt because it doesn't dissolve. And then 2 teaspoons of yeast. This is how I make my dumpling. I don't add anything else like I see a lot of people. This is how I like it and I prefer it. And I start by adding my water bit by bit, up until I get to the consistency that I want. At the end of the day, I did use about 600 ml in total for this. But remember, bread flour and cake flour are different. So if you are using cake flour, you might use a little bit less compared to what I used today. So a few weeks ago, I was dragged a little bit on Facebook and on TikTok for my Sunday goes plate. Apparently it was dry, and I remember in that video I did specify that I am not really a person that is passionate about cooking Sunday goes. I know how to cook it, I'm just not passionate about it. So I never really put an effort on it except on special occasions like on Christmas, on those holidays. Then I would put an effort. But majority of the time, I would just make one salad, pumpkin, beetroot really, I rarely make it. But and after being dragged for a few days, I still get those comments even now, there and there. I thought about it. I was like, am I really going to be dragged for not making a proper Sunday? Because I know how to make it. I'm capable. I just don't like the time, the amount of time that it takes, and the dishes afterwards. I do have a dishwasher, but I don't know. So I decided to challenge myself to cook Sunday goes for my family every Sunday. Right? If I'm not going anywhere, it will be dinner. If I'm going somewhere, I'll probably cook it very early in the morning. I'm challenging myself to do that because I cannot put an effort on dishes that are not authentically South African. Those Sundays because it's also not authentically South African, but it's a tradition that we have created for ourselves as a South African country. So how then can I make an effort to cook other dishes, but that one that has a stamp of us as South African? I was like, no man, I cannot do that. I'm going to start putting an effort on it at least once a week. And this is how I make it. This is after it sitting and proving. I brush my cups with oil, and then I'm going to put dough in there that is almost half of the cup into there, and then we're going to steam it. So, and another thing that I've realized now personally with me, that I think it's a problem with me, the things that I go with what I like, what I want most of the time, not necessarily what. I don't create a traditions for Theo. I didn't create traditions for Theo. He didn't grow up seeing us eating Sunday goes every single day, every single weekend, though we could, you know, we were capable, even though it wouldn't be possibly not every Sunday, but we were capable. But I just never put an effort into that. This year, I think if you've been here, you know that I also said I never really bought him Christmas clothes because it's not it's cheaper in January. But as I'm growing older, I'm realizing that honestly these things our parents were really doing them for memory. Sometimes it's not really about the money, you know. Maybe I should have bought him one outfit on those days, but again I think financially then it wasn't possible because we still wanted to do a couple of things, you know. So I do think we might have deprived him of certain things. It wasn't intentionally, but we looked at things at a bigger picture. So I'm trying, though he's older now, but I'm trying to start that tradition of at least trying to cook it the Sunday goes 2 or 3 times a month, if I can 4 times a month, you know. So yeah, my dumpling is going in, it's cooking there on the stove, and then I'm going to season my chicken thighs. It's only three of us in the house, so I always make 4 pieces in case we get a guest or for my husband's lunchbox. So I did add salt, paprika, and mild curry, and then teriyaki sauce onto the chicken, and I'm going to add a little bit of oil there and massage the entire seasoning onto the chicken making sure that it is well coated before we go and pan fry it on the stove. I peeled my beetroot there raw and grated it raw, and I'm adding a little bit of water onto the pan, adding the sugar that I think is sufficient for the amount that I'm cooking, and the vinegar, and then I'm going to add it onto the pan for it to cook. This is the one that is a 20-minute or more, but it could be less, depending how soft you want it. This will depend on you as a person, how soft you want it. If you still want it crunchy, it will still be, you can cook it for 20 minutes. If you want it softer, it can be more, but it's still better than having to cook it for hours as a whole. So while that is cooking, I removed my first batch of dumpling from the pot, and then we are going to start on something else. So did you guys grow up I'm sure I'm going to sound very odd because I'm moving around. Did you guys grow up eating sandigos every day? Was it a tradition in your home, or it's something that you started as an adult now, started doing, or you are like me, you just don't like the amount of time that you have to spend in the kitchen when you are cooking it? Anyway, I just cut up half an onion and 1 spring onion and 3 green chilies. They are not spicy, these chilies, so it just adds color and a bit of a taste there and there. And I'm cutting 2 cloves of garlic there. I'm not, the other days where I am grating it, there are days where I'm cutting it. Today I'm cutting it. On my beetroot there, I added a little bit of onion that I had cut there, and then I wasn't satisfied with how it was. I added a little bit more of water, and I'm going to let it simmer for 5 more minutes and take it off the stove because I don't want it to cook any further. So one of the reasons I was actually dragged on Facebook and TikTok was because of my rice. They said it was dry because I didn't have gravy and I didn't make a stew for my chicken, So I'm removing my chicken from the stove and adding those vegetables. The reason I hardly, if you guys have seen most of my videos, if I'm not adding my tomatoes on my meat or my chicken, I hardly ever make what we call gravy. The reason I think a gravy, I don't know how to, my mom has ulcer, ne? So I have seen what sour things can do to a person who has ulcer. So I try, if gravy is not part of my everyday life, and I know it's not the only thing that a person who suffers from ulcer should stay away from, but personally it's one of the things that I decided that they're not going to be part of my everyday living, because guys, having a parent that has ulcer, it's not a child's play. And the amount of time that we had spent in hospitals and I don't want my kids ever to have to go through that, because of me. Of course, it's something that you cannot predict. It's something that you cannot confirm if you are going to have or not. But that's one of the reasons if I'm eating pasta sauce and all of that, but I get say guys, young, I just feel like gravy in a too sour or whatever. I don't know. I just took it out of my meals, not yona fela, and a whole lot of other things. That's why even my beetroot, most of the time I grill it or I just boil it. I don't do the sugar and vinegar thing a lot of times, but I do it. It's not everyone who enjoys it, but I try to stay away from things that are sour. with everything that I have in me, you know. But surprisingly, I would use the tomato paste here and but the gravy, I don't know why I associate gravy with that. Maybe it's because my mom used to say growing up she used to love tomato gravy and acha, you know, those type of things. Maybe I internalized that thing too much. So in my pan there, I just added a couple of teaspoons of flour and tomato paste and stir that in. The flour is really to make my sauce to thicken. If you don't like flour, you can use your Reiko soups, you know, your minestrones, your brown onion soups, those type. And I added a can of tomato in there. As you guys know, I try to minimize the dishes and I'm lazy. So I use a scissor. I put it in a pan and I use a scissor to cut it up and stir that in, making sure that everything is well combined. And I'm glad that the flour was not a lot. It's not going to need a lot of water. I just add my seasoning there, and as I always say, you don't have to use yellow seasoning or yellow salt like me. Use salt. I don't know, I don't like the taste of salt. Maybe I'm addicted to this thing. It's possible. So I'm adding a little bit of, I'm adding water, about a cup to the sauce, because I'm going to put the chicken back onto the pan and let it simmer so that it can coat really well. So I'm putting it facing down first so that it can somehow coat the skin, not for long though, and flip it immediately after putting it. And then I'm going to close the pan for a few minutes, let it simmer, and then it will be ready. And so my side for today, aside from the beetroot and the potato salad, it's baby marrow. It's baby marrow and carrots and onion that I'm going to be adding on my plate for today. I think this is the part that you will probably be making chakalaka. So I don't have the ingredients for chakalaka, or refer chakalaka a break. So yeah, so I shredded my baby marrow and my carrots. I know my body is overflowing. It's not a big deal. It's fine like this. thank you so much for watching up until this far. That's what we had for Sunday lunch, Sunday dinner. And then my broccoli, you saw me that I just pan fried it in butter. I'm scratching that part because I was accused of not cleaning my plate, and it's a factory fault. One of the things that I was dragged for as well. So yeah, that's my Sunday dinner. It's dumpling, potato salad, my baby marrow and carrots, broccoli, beetroot, and that is it. Thank you for watching. I will see you on my next video.